Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, according to your time. If you want to cut perfect sleeve, not too long where you are sewing, you need to trim. Look at it. The method that I use for this one is the armhole depth that you use, like my own, to get your cap height here. If you don't want to use the method of dividing your bust by 12 plus 0.5, if you don't want to use that method, the method that you can use is the armhole depth that you use. The armhole depth that you use, you divide it by 2, it will give you the armhole depth. If it is 9 inches you use, if it is 10 inches you divide it by 2. Like my own, I divide it. I use the armhole depth here. I use 9 inches. So that 9 inches, the armhole depth that I use for the pattern is 9 inches. 9 inches divided by 2, it gives me 4.5. So 4.5, I divide it. I divide it. That is, I measure it from here to here. 4.5. 4.5. Then I now mark it. So to know the quantity of the fabric to fold is, now I use 9 inches for the pattern, for the armhole depth. Then I add 1 inch. As you can see here, I add 1 inch for ease, 1 inch for sewing allowance. That is 2 inches. So any inches that you add, any allowance that you add, if it is 1.5, if it is 2 inches for ease, if it is 1.5 for ease, calculate everything according to what you use for the pattern. Like this pattern, I add 1 inch for ease, 1 inch for sewing allowance, that is 2 inches. Then after you have calculated how many you add for the bust, after you don't put the bust measurements, okay? So my own now, the ease allowance that I add is 1 inch. Sewing allowance 1 inch, that is 2 inches. So for that 2 inches plus the armhole depth that I use is 9 inches. 9 inches plus 2 inches plus 0.5, you add 0.5. So any answer that you get, any allowance that you add, if it is 3 inches, 4 inches, add it to the armhole depth that you use. Okay, if it is 1.5 ease and 1.5 sewing allowance you add, that means you need to add to the armhole depth, you add 3.5. Always add half an inch to it, which means the one that I use for here now is 2 inches. I add to it 1 inch for ease allowance, 1 inch for sewing allowance, that is 2 inches. Then for that 2 inches, I will now add again half an inch to it. That means 2.5 I need to add. So if you add allowance 3 inches, you add 0.5 to it, that is 3.5 you need to add to it. Okay, continue it like that. So then for the armhole depth that I use now is 9 inches. 9 inches plus 2.5, you see, 9, 10, 11, that is 11.5 I used to fold this fabric. As you can see where I mark it, okay, I measure it from here and I mark it there for me to know whether it will give me accurate armhole for here. Okay, this armhole, accurate armhole, not the sewing allowance, from here go, whether it will give me what I have here. So after I measure this one round now, it now give me 12.3, approximately 12.5. Okay, so then when I measure this, you see the way I now curve it. So after putting everything here, I minus the half, and the sewing allowance is here. So the ease allowance, that means 1 inch plus half an inch, that is 1.5, plus 9 inches for the armhole depth, that is 10.5. 10.5 is here. So this is from here now to here is 1 inch for sewing allowance. You see the way I take market am. So from this armhole, from here, the answer that I have now is here. Okay, from here I now curve it, I now mark it to this place, then I now use curving, I now divide it. When I divide it, this is the center. So from there I go up by 0.5, and I use my curve to connect like this, and connect it straight like this. Then I put my curve again. From here I curve it again, I turn the curve, the armhole curve, and I curve it again. So when I measure here now, it give me exactly what I have here. Okay, it gives me exactly what I have here. So that is that. So sometimes if you measure it, it may pass, it may be 0.2, 0.25 pass, or 1/8 of an inch. You leave it like that. So this one now give me exactly everything that I have here. So this is another method of cutting a perfect sleeve. I'll bring more to us. Thank you.